Let us now take a sutram by which Panini derives only one single word. The sutram is 33101, which reads Ichha. This is a ready-made form given by Panini, what's called nipatanam. Nipatanam means Panini does not give the derivational steps, he just gives the final form because it is economical to do so. Giving the intermediate steps would take more effort and doesn't serve any extra purpose. So in such situations, Panini does what's called as nipatanam. It's a direct prescription of a ready-made form. This is the final form, Ichha. The Vritya Sutram says, Isher bhave sho yagabhavascha nipatyate. The Vritti tells us which operations are implied in this form, Ichha. What is implied here is that the affix sh is being used, is being applied, following the verbal root ish, which is ishu ichchayam in the tudadiganaha, and then following that the affix yak, which should have applied by 3167 sarvadhatuke yak. Because this affix sh has a sanya of sarvadhatukam by ting shit sarvadhatukam 34113, therefore the affix yak should have come in here. Since we are using this affix sh bhave, anuvritti of bhavakarmanoho comes down from 3166 to 3167. So all the conditions for applying 3167 are satisfied, but the affix yak is not being used. That is the irregularity here. That is the irregular part in deriving this form Ichha. That is why Panini gives a ready-made form rather than going through the irregular derivation. So the meaning of sutram is Ichha is given as a ready-made form, implying the application of the affix sh and the irregular absence of the affix yak. This is what is meant by sho yagabhavascha nipatyate. The verbal root used here is ish, ishu ichchayam, and the affix is used to denote in the feminine gender the sense of the verbal root as having attained to a completed state, which is bhave. The example here is eषणम ichcha is the act of desiring, wanting. So ichcha is the act of desiring, the act of longing for something. So it is desire. So we start the derivation by taking this verbal root ish plus the affix sh, which is implied in the form ichcha. At this stage, as explained before, the sutram 3167 should have applied because the affix sh is a sarvadhatuka pratyaha by ting shit sarvadhatukam 34113. It is being used bhave. So all the conditions for applying 3167 are satisfied, but the affix yak is not introduced here because if we did, we would not get the desired form ichha. So in order to get the desired form given by Panini, we ignore 3167. Now continuing, what we do is remove the shakara of the affix sh, which is a it by lashakvatadite, then tasya lopaha, we get ish a. Now at this point the sutram 7377 applies. 7377 says ishu gami yamam chaha esham chasya chiti, which means when followed by a pratyaha which begins with shakara as it, which is what we have right now, we have the affix sh. The ending letter of the verbal roots ish, which is ishu ichchayam, and of gam, gamr gatau, and yam, which is yama uparame. The ending letter of all of these is replaced by a shakaraha, as long as the following affix begins with a talavya shakara as it. So here 7377 applies and we get the substitute shakara in place of the ending shakara of ish. So we get ich a. At this point the argument, the agamaha tuk, comes after the ikaraha by the sutram checha, because we have a rasva ikaraha followed by the chakaraha. So the argument tuk comes in by checha 6173, and as per adyantau takitau, the argument tuk comes after the ikaraha. So we get e tuk cha. Now anubandha lopaha ukarasit sanya by upadeshe janu nasika it, kakarasit sanya by halantyam tasya lopaha, we get it cha a. And now we apply stoho shchuna shchuh to replace the takaraha by the chavarga chakaraha, and we get ich, and then we apply ajadyata stop in the feminine gender, bring the affix stop. So we get icha top. Anubandha lopaha pakarasit sanya by halantyam takarasit sanya by chutu tasya lopaha. We get icha and finally akasavani dirgha gives the form icha. We get the pratipadika sanya by krit taditya samasascha 1246 decline like rama shabdaha. So this is the form bhave. This sutram is only used bhave. If you want to derive a form in the sense of akartri chakarake sanyayam, then we cannot use this sutram. We have to go back and use the default affix ktin by striyam ktin. For example, ishyate anaya iti ishtihi. It's a sacrifice, that by which something is desired. So this is karane, the instrument of desiring. So here we cannot use this sutram, we have to use the affix ktin by striyam ktin. So the bottom line is that this sutram 33101, which gives the form icha as a ready-made form, is only to be used bhave, means the sense of the verbal root as having attained to a completed state, so the act of desiring.